everybody, it's Sarah, and it's the time of the year again where everybody is uploading their end of the year book tags, and I actually had intended to upload mine a bit later in a few weeks at the beginning of November, but I don't know what I'm supposed to upload today and I didn't want to film anything too complicated, so this tag it is because I do quite enjoy filming and editing it. And so let's get right into it. The first question is, are there any books you started this year that you still need to finish? And to be honest, there's only even one book, although it's debatable if it even counts as me having already started this book. But that book is Le Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. And I'm only like 10 pages in, so that's why I'm saying it's kind of debatable whether or not I even started this book. This, of course, is one of the most well-known versions of the Arthurian legend, and it was on my goals for 2020, reading goals for 2020, that I read this book this year, so I definitely want to finish it, or read it, in the last 2 months. We'll see how that goes. It's like 800 pages, so it's not too bad, but then it's a classic, and it's a really old-timey classic, so maybe it's gonna be really hard and it will take me the full 2 months, but we'll see. Question number 2 is, do you have an autumnal book to transition you into the end of the year? And no, I don't. I'm really not a seasonal reader. I do not really care about like seasonal reading. I can read anything whenever, so no, I don't have any specific books to transition me into the end of the year. Question number 3 is, are there any new releases that you're still waiting for? And of course, do I even have to say it? Do I even have to say which release I am still very much waiting for? That is, of course, Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, which is book 4 in the Stormlight Archive series. I just finished my reread of book 3. I am so excited. I cannot wait to get to this finally. Let's hope that once again my bookstore has a Brandon Sanderson book way earlier than the release date, because that would be amazing. But aside from that, there's also 3 more releases, all of them sequels, that I am still waiting for. The first of those is Send Me Their Souls by Sarah Wolf, which is the 3rd book and I think also the final book in the Bring Me Their Hearts series. This comes out, I think, on November the 1st. By the way, Rhythm of War comes out on November 17th. Then on November 10th, I'm waiting for The Camelot Betrayal, which is the sequel to the Guinevere Deception, and so book 2 in the Camelot Rising series. I do not know how many books this is going to be. It's by Kirsten White, and this is an Arthurian legend retelling. YA retelling. And then finally on December 1st, I'm excited for The Dark Archive by Genevieve Cogman, which is the 7th book in the Invisible Library series, which is a kind of adult, alternative universe, historical fantasy, kind of sci-fi, kind of not type of story. And I also very much enjoy this story, and I very much am hoping to get to book 7 right away when it comes out. Question number 4 is, what are 3 books that you still want to get to before the end of the year? And I just have 4 books right here. Obviously, some of those books are the books that I just talked about, the new releases that I still want to get to. I also obviously still want to get to Le Morte d'Arthur. But aside from that, I just have a few books that I already bought or that I got as gifts. And of course, one of my goals of 2020 was to not have added any books to my TBR, so to get to all the books that I'm either presented or that I bought during the year. And so actually 3 of these books were books that I got for my birthday. Only 1 book is a book that I got myself, and that is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. This was on my TBR for October, but it was just too much for me, so I didn't get to it. I am going to hopefully get to it next month, and yeah, I absolutely love this cover. And it's also one of those books that has like this velvety type feel. I really, really love it. So yeah, we'll see. It's also very floppy. Then I also want to get to The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. As I said, this was also a birthday present, or not also a birthday present, this was a birthday present. And so I want to get to it because I don't want to drag it with me into 2021. and it's gonna be interesting to read 2 chunky classics in the 2 months that are left of the year. However, when I read The Count of Monte Cristo, I found it very easy to read. I found Alexandre Dumas' writing style very easy to get into. This additionally is a German translation, so it's probably going to be even easier for me to read it. Although I don't really see a difference between reading English and reading German. It's like same, no different. Then I also want to get to Black Sunday by Tola Rotimi Abraham. This is a story set in Lagos, and that's all I know, in the 90s, and it follows twins. And yeah, I got this for my birthday as well, and so I want to get to it before the end of the year because I don't want to drag it into 2021. And I'm probably going to put this either on my November or my December TBR. Obviously, there's only 2 months left. Actually, I'm probably going to put this on my November TBR. I want to get to it as soon as possible. And then the last book, which I maybe could have also put with a book that I have started and that I want to finish before the end of the year is over, but it's actually 3 stories, so I don't feel like it really counts as a book that I started because, yeah. Anyway, that book is the African Trilogy by Chinua Achebe, which consists of Things Fall Apart, No Longer at Ease, and Arrow of God. And I am almost done with Things Fall Apart. I have like 4 chapters left, I think. And they're actually, like, the single books are quite short. This is a bind-up of those 3 books that were published, I think, originally separately. And yeah, I think I'm probably just going to read 1 story each month. So I'm going to read No Longer at Ease in November and Arrow of God in December. Question number 5. Is there a book that could still shock you and become a favorite of the year? And I'm just going to talk about 3 books that I just talked about again. The first of those is Black Sunday. And the reason why this might still shock me is because with literary fiction, it's not hit or miss, because I never really dislike any literary fiction that I read, but it's just always a question of whether or not I'm just gonna really enjoy it or if I end up actually really loving it. And in fact, that happened last year with Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo, where I read it in December and I thought I would enjoy it, but then it ended up being one of my absolutely favorite books of the year, so it might be a similar case with this one, as well as with the African Trilogy or any of the stories from the African Trilogy. I don't think, because I'm almost done with Things Fall Apart, obviously, I don't think that the book or the trilogy as a whole will become a favorite, but I might have like a really strong connection to one of the other 2 stories that I have not yet read, so we'll see about that. And then lastly, To Sleep in a Sea of Stars might also really surprise me. Aragon I have talked about before. I have never finished, but it was my introduction into high fantasy, and it's part of the reason why I love high fantasy so much now. And I'm not typically a sci-fi reader, so that's why I wouldn't expect it if this became like an absolute favorite of the year. However, I've heard a lot of really good things about this, so we'll see. Maybe it will become a favorite of the year, maybe it won't. It's just all up in the air. Last question is, have you already started making reading plans for 2021? Kind of. I mean, not specific reading plans, but a little bit. I do want to continue like researching more into adult high fantasy written by women, kind of be more purposeful with the books I find. I also want to have a 3rd TBR jar next year because I just found that there were a lot of new releases that I was interested in technically, but I felt that with all the other books, especially like continuing series that I want to read, and also just like being scared of starting a new series, well, I have so many series that are still unfinished on my shelves, and then getting rid of my TBR and so on, like my physical TBR that I have, that there were just a lot of new releases that I never ended picking up, even though I was really interested in them, because I found like I never had the time for them. Not even just new releases, but like books in general that I found that I was interested in. And so I want to make a 3rd TBR jar for those books and like pick 1 book per month as well out of that TBR jar to just like allow myself to read those books that I feel like are a waste of time because there's other books I need to read more, and to just put more fun and less of the need in there again. So that's something that I just really want to do. And also I got my physical TBR down to 30 books already, so I don't feel as bad anymore to just pick up books and not read them right away. So yeah, that's kind of part of my reading plans. I want to finish The Wheel of Time next year, of course, because I couldn't manage this year. I kind of want to get into Joe Abercrombie next year. I want to start the first Law trilogy. So, but that's not really reading plans. That's just generally books that I want to get to, you know. And yeah, so that was it for this video. Tell me in the comments down below your answers to any of these questions. What are the most anticipated releases that are left this year for you? All the links to my social media are in the description box down below, so go and check those out. All the links to my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, in which we read one adult high fantasy book written by a woman per month, are also linked down below. The poll for our November pick is still up for about 24 hours, I think, and the choices are Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, Arrows of the Queen by Mercedes Lackey, then The Bone Shard Daughter, of which I forgot the author, I'm sorry, and then also Crucial Start by Jacqueline Carey, which would be a reread for me, but I want to reread the Phaedra trilogy to then continue on with the other trilogies in the same world. So that's why that's on there, and currently it's a tie between The Bone Shard Daughter as well as Black Sun. So if you want to vote, the poll is on the Twitter, which is linked down below. And yeah, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing, and I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!